Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spindle TV. My name is Laney Shaughnessy. I'm going to be your host for this evening. How are you all doing tonight? All right, so Troy Pritchard, the shop is going along well. I wanted to pop in a little early just so I could show it off a little bit. Nothing's inside yet. It just got put up, yesterday, the day before yesterday, so Tuesday. It got put up Tuesday, and it's coming along really well. But the start of it, let me see if I can, let me switch things up here for a minute. Stand by one moment. Let me move myself out of the way. So they were supposed to be out Monday and putting it up Monday, and then didn't make it. So Tuesday came along, and the guys were smart. So they started right away. Didn't take them long to get the frame and everything up. They did a good job of getting it centered on the slab and all. And they did the roof first, which was the smartest thing they could have done that night or that day, because right after they got the roof on, it started pouring. The rest of the day they were kind of in it and everything, and the building started taking really good shape and everything. Now, compared to the building on the left, this gray building here, this is my current shop. It's 12 by 24. This one is the new shop is 18 by 25 under roof. But it has 10-foot walls. My other shop had 7-foot walls. So at the peak of the ceiling, I'm right at about 13 feet. So a lot more room. And as things started coming along, they got the back on. And I'm going to be putting together a little video, but then when they really got the wainscot and the siding and everything on, then it really started kind of taking shape. And when the trim went on, that's where it really, and the door and everything, that's where it really kind of, finalized. And now this is in between rain and everything. So, I mean, it was pouring on rain. So there's mud and everything all inside the building. And of course I had to just go in there with a hose and wash everything out. And all, it was just a muddy day. But the guys didn't even stop. They didn't even oh, it's raining, let me go stand under the roof for a minute. They just kept working it and everything. And they were awesome. They did a really good job. But all in all, I'm looking forward to, I haven't really had a chance to get out there and do much, but the next phase is going to be electric. So I got to pull an electric permit. Not me, the electrical company's got to pull the electrical permit. And then they got to drop a new pole in for my service so I can run cable underground to the new meter, because it's going to be on its own meter. And then I'll start getting the equipment and everything moved in there. I've got a 4x8 CNC going to go in there, and my digital wood carver is going to go in there, and some other things. But this is going to be a shop / studio for filming, so I'll be able to do a lot more at the CNC content instead of just a lot of old Vectric stuff. I'll be able to do a lot more carving and building and assembly content, so I'm looking forward to that. And but yeah, no, it's going great. So I just wanted to share that with everybody, because I've been talking about it forever. And it's not, it's not huge. It's 18 by 25 on the roof, those 10-foot walls, but it's big to me, because I started out, if we back up to this photo here, I don't know if you can see this green door in the background. There's a 10 by 10 shed, a wooden shed that's getting demoed this week. But that was my humble beginnings. I started in that 10 by 10 building. I moved up to the 12 by 24. I thought I was in, high cotton then when I moved up to that building. And then now I've got my 18 by 25. And then the 10 by 10, it's overgrown with trees and bushes, so it's coming down. But there's still tools, and I've got a downdraft table in there, and I've got an air cleaner and stuff. So all that's getting transferred over to the shop, the new shop, and then it's getting demoed. So I'll be saying goodbye to that. And yeah, so things have been doing well. So that's kind of where we're at now and everything. And yeah, so thanks for asking, Troy. Appreciate that. Ronnie, you as well too. Thanks, man. But anyway, so tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a continuation of the last class where we're kind of doing, for us as hosts of a party and everything, different types of party trays and totes and just things that we can work with and stuff, serving trays and all. And so we did the that 6-pack tote last week, and by the way, the files are available for download for that in that video description. Just go to that video description, the link is there for all the files. And tonight I wanted to work on a serving platter that was kind of a wine glass cheese tray. Let's call it appetizer tray, handheld appetizer trays, and then but they all house into a nice piece. Let's see if I can get that to pop up on the screen here again. And let me switch back to there. We're going to be working on this serving tray tonight, as well as another pizza serving tray and everything. And this serving tray has a little slot and place for like a little wine glass to hang on and hold on to. So we're going to accommodate for that, and we're just going to kind of move forward with these projects. All right, let's go ahead, and since I'm already in this position, let's get back into our Vectric software here. And you'll see a design already on the screen. Now, the serving tray, so this serving tray here, reminded me of a pizza serving tray I did quite a few years back. Excuse me. I thought, you know what? That would be another good project to give everyone the file to, because it's a really nice little project. And let me see if I can close out of this. Let me see if I can pop that up. One of my customers I did this file years and years ago, and one of my customers, I'll be darned if I can remember his name, and I feel bad because he did such a beautiful job with this this project. But this pizza tray, these individual slices here, they're V-grooved here on the edges of the piece so that you could actually throw a large pizza on this tray and then actually cut it on the tray, and then the pizza could be served, right? So, and he did a beautiful job with the little trays, and the main pizza tray. He did walnut, and then he did this really I don't know what type of wood that is, but did a really good job with the species of wood just to give it a nice look and everything when it was kind of put together. Very unique look. So we're going to be talking about that file and everything, and then we're going to make the the cheese tray and stuff. But I thought when I started to think about the design for the this little cheese tray, I thought that looks a lot like my pizza tray and serving tray and stuff. So I wanted to provide that to you guys and girls and everything, and just kind of talk through it a little bit. So that's what we have here on the screen, is this pizza tray and everything. And this is one of those projects where it's a 20 by 18, and you're going to glue together two panels. The one panel that's the serving trays could be whatever, it could be just like that guy did. It's very creative, and everything. But you're going to have your serving tray where all the trays are stored and everything, and then the individual trays that come out and they can be, handed and all. Let me come back in and click OK here. Sorry. Let me turn on my mouse. That's what I want to do. My little mouse pointer. Okay. So on the screen, we have a 20 by 18 inch board. You can go smaller, just as long as this tray, which has a diameter and a size on it of 15 and a quarter long. And that should accommodate, 15 and a quarter should accommodate most large pizzas and everything. So should be plenty of room and everything. Well, the walls, the wall thickness, if I come in here with a measurement, horizontal, let's go vertical, and we'll just measure from here down to here. We have a wall thickness of 3/8 of an inch. And these rectangles that are laid over this 3/8 represents these trays. Now, essentially, what I did to create these trays that are over here on the right that are already laid out for you, I want to just walk through the actual design, is the first circle, the 15 3/4, was laid out, and then it was offset inward 3/8 of an inch using the offset tool. So we select that, we come in and our 3.375 going inward, 375, and create that offset, and that creates this circle here. Now from here, I went through and I drew a single straight line. Let me get rid of that measurement and get it out of my way. I went through and I drew a single straight line right down from top to bottom here. Space bar to finish. And on that line, I rotated it using our circular copy tool. Circular copy tool is located in the offset and layout area down at the bottom. And we went around the center of the material, 0, 0, and I went 6 times around. 360 degrees on the total steps, and everything. And that created the individual dividers, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, technically, if I undid that, I could actually go around, I believe, 3 times and get the same lines, but I wouldn't have any duplicates, right? So the when you go around 6 times, when that line goes around 6 times, it's actually creating duplicates. So here, I think I only have 1 duplicate. I might not have any. I don't have any there, so that's good. When I went 6 times around, it kind of doubled it up, and there was duplicates on top of there. But what that did was that divided this circle into those 6 individuals trays, and then the distance from one line to another, creating that that tray, if you will. That distance, the center of it is where the handle would be kind of located. This handle here, poking out through that tray. And so these rectangles represented a pocket area, and that was copied around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times as well. So the first one was created, and then using the circular array tool revolving around the center of the material, this one actually did go around 6 times, 360 degrees, and that created those, those 6 times around locations and everything. that position and stuff. So we want to make sure that rotate copies was checked, so it actually rotated the copies and all in there. And then that kind of gave us our starting point. So now we had our pocket cuts so that the tray could be done. So if we were to pop over and look at the tool pass for sheet 1 here, the inner pocket, which kind of milled down our board is 3/4 inches thick. And you can go thicker too if you want, that's up to you. But this particular the base of the platter, I call it, is 3/4 of an inch thick. And the pocket went down 3/8. Okay, it went down 3/8 of an inch. And just used a simple 1/4 inch end mill to create that pocket cut on the part so that it kind of milled that out. And I do make my own pizza. There you go, Troy. There you go. Hey, Darwin Bradley, how you doing? And thanks, David, for the congratulations. I appreciate that. Doug Fushi, how you doing? Keith Kessler, how you doing? I'm seeing everybody now. For some reason, my chat was a little slow. Roger Smith, hey, man, good to see you. Brooks Martin, David Krause. Oh, yeah. Adam Whitehead, how you doing, man? Daryl's up there. Daryl Pacoke, how y'all doing, man? All right, everybody's popping in. That's great. And let's see here. We got Adam Whitehead. Micah's here. Micah, thanks, bud. Gary Owen. And Darwin Bradley. Ed Newman popped in at the bottom. Hello, all. All right, cool, man. Awesome. Well, this pocket here is 3/8 of an inch. Now, something to keep in mind. Let me go back to the photo here and everything. The parts for the pizza trays, the slice trays, this part is a 1/2 inch thick. Okay? And so the pocket is 3/8 of an inch. The what am I trying to say here? The trays themselves are 1/2 inch thick. So there's an 1/8 inch. They stick up above the lip of the tray by an 1/8 of an inch. And the reason why I did this is so when I'm running my pizza knife through, because there's a V groove on the side here that you can run the pizza knife through, and it kind of follows that groove, if you will. So each slice is perfectly sized for the trays. But I wanted to be able to bring my knife all the way through and I didn't want this tray to be lower than the lip here to where my pizza knife didn't quite, it ran into this wall, right? Because when the pizza's sitting on here, I can, cut through the pizza and then kind of be in my groove there, if you will. There's enough space between these parts, ladies and gentlemen. There's enough space between these parts that they will slide and everything. There's a little bit of space. You can see the gaps there. So your pizza knife isn't going to be digging into your platters and all that. You know what I mean? The angle cut is just kind of to guide that pizza knife down, when you're cutting and all and everything. And it works well. So there's a bevel. A little, it's about 0.07 inches deep, 60-degree V-bit, just a 60-degree bevel, there, and everything for the trays and stuff. So it's a nice little tray. So this is a 3/8 of an inch deep, right? And then as far as the divider or the pockets, sorry, these pockets, when we come in here, these pockets are also 3/8 of an inch deep. They're going to be the same level as the bottom of the pocket, so that when that part, that tray is sitting in there, the handle can come out. So hold down the shift key. Let me select this one. So this is going to be another 3/8 of an inch pocket cut, and in the section pockets, and again using the same 1/4 inch end mill, and that. When calculated, we can preview that toolpath as well. And that's going to mill out those pockets, down to that level and all. And then the final cut, of course, for the base is the profile cutout. And that's cutting all the way through the 3/4, same 1/4 inch end mill, 1 bit does it all. I do have some tabs in there. There's a few tabs holding the part in. And so that part, when cut out, completes the tray. And again, you could be, when you glue up this panel, because you're going to glue up this panel. We're not going to, try to, make a small tray out of one board, blah, blah, blah. We're going to glue up this panel. And you could be creative. Your tray could be a solid tray, maple, walnut, cherry, pine, I don't care, right? It could have different species in there, you could, you could mix and match. It could be a kind of a beautiful scrap wood project, it could be a beautiful scrap wood project that when all the scrap wood is glued together to make these trays, it just kind of, it's something unique, something you can have fun with, right? And so that is going to be your tray. Now, with the slices and the dividers and everything, these are our slices here, but these are our individual parts here. But we really need to kind of create an offset to actually create the triangular part, right? And everything. So we're going to take this circle. Well, we'll do the lines first. Let's do the lines first. So we're going to select these lines. And in our drawing tools, we're going to use the offset tool. And this time we're actually going to we're going to offset in both directions. And I only want a little bit of space here because these parts are not getting cut inside this board, right? They're going to get spaced out on another panel and they're going to get cut out and everything. But for the drawing, the making of them, we're going to take this and we're going to offset outward. And I literally just I don't want these trays when they're put into place, I don't want them rattling a lot, right? I just want a small amount so each one sits in there perfect. I want just a little bit of, gap, air gap and all, nothing too crazy or too big. And we have to remember that it's happening on one side or the other. So I'm going to actually be offsetting like a 30-second. 3, 1, 2, 5. And in both directions. And what that will do is that will give me about a 1/16 of an inch gap with each of those trays. So I'll have a 30-second and 30-second. But what I got to be mindful of, bear with me just a second. Let me check my math. I might need to go 64th. Give me just 1 minute here. Let me check my math. Vertically, horizontally, from here to here. Yep, 0.0625. Horizontally, that's not a horizontal measurement. Yeah, so horizontal. Good, and let me do a length measurement real quick. Let me correct that one. Yeah, okay. So that will give me a 1/16 of an inch of kind of wiggle room between each piece and everything. And of course, if one was slid over to the other and all, that gives me an 1/8 inch gap. And you'll see if we look at, again, if we just look at the, where'd my photo go? Here. You'll see there's, just very little room there. Let me find the other one right here. So you can see, when some are close together, some are apart because, they shift around a little bit. And if a 1/16 is too much for you, we could make that a 1/16 is 4 30-seconds, 2 30-seconds, sorry. Yeah, and that's a good enough gap. I'm not going to stress that. All right, now I also want in here this right here, my inner circle. That's going to offset inward, and on that offset, I'm going to go a 32nd well, and it's not going to be both directions. It's just inward, and that is going to give me my part where I can, when I cut this, that's going to give me my part. And I'm going a 32nd on this side, 32nd on this side, so there's a 1/16 of an inch kind of gap, if you will, if I slid everything to one side. And that's all the play that I need. I want this to be a nice fitting piece and everything. So now that I've done that, I can take my 3 main enter lines, this one, and this one, and I can delete them, and then I can come in with my scissors and I can trim away these lines to create my 6 parts here. Okay, and again, on the outside, we can trim this away and divide that to create that piece. Trim those 2 lines away to create that one. Work your way all the way around. And again, you can make these. This is a 15 3/4. You could make one for small pizzas, one for large pizzas, one for whatever the case may be. It's a nice little serving tray for parties, you know, so people aren't, it's cooler than paper plates, let's say that, you know what I mean? And things, and it's just something that can sit in their lap or whatever the case may be. All right, so now we have our individual little trays that we need to take, and I had when I was trimming, here's my mistake. When I was trimming a minute ago with my scissors, from last night's class that I had the rejoin trim sections turned off. You want that checked, because when you're trimming, you want to rejoin those lines into closed vectors. When I trimmed, it didn't rejoin the lines, so all my vectors are still individual vectors here, right? So I need to go in and I need to select. All I did by not having that tool checked, I just created a little extra work for myself. So I got to come over here and now select all these inside lines. And then I got to go to the join tool over here on the left, and I've got 18 vectors open and selected. Now it says I'll close off 5, but 1 will be open. So on one of my vectors, somewhere, there's still a connection, and it's not closed. And that mystery, I'll have to find in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and join the 5, and then I'm going to right click on the screen and say select all open vectors, selection all open vectors, and this tray is still not closed. And when you have one vector that's open, that you're trying to figure out where it's not closed, where the gap is and all that, just go into node editing mode and look for the green node. Okay, the green node indicates the starting point of a line, and if a single vector is open, then that means that the start of the line, which is green, and the end of the line, which is black, don't come together, right? So we're going to let me see how off they are. It's just a small amount. I'm actually just gonna drag this up and to there, and I'll go through and join that as a closed vector. Okay, so always look for the green node on one when you have one open vector and it's like, okay, I can't really see any gaps or anything. Go into node editing mode, zoom into the green node, and the black node will be there. That's the end of the line, start a line, end line. And generally, if it's one open vector, it's a single vector, the 2 endpoints don't meet. And you just make them meet. All right, now that we've got that, the handle, when I drew the handle and everything, the most important part of the handle is that the neck of the handle can fit through the 3/8 inch, or fit inside this 3/8 inch pocket, right? And it's not 3/8 inch, that's how deep it is, but the width of this is, what is that? Roughly, it's on a curve, but this will kind of get me close. 1 inch. So that 1 inch wide rectangle there, the handle has to fit through there. And the handle design could really be whatever you want it to be. So let's say that we come here, and let's say we come out here. We could have it kind of slightly curve in, and with the handle, this rectangle represents that pocket, that opening. So this curve would actually be a lot closer, right? Kind of like that, to where it kind of curves in. And then I'm going to take a straight line down the middle of my rectangle, 90-degree line down the middle of my rectangle, and I can take that curve, and I'm not saying this is going to be my final curve, but I could take that curve, select that line, and then I can mirror, and I could click the button to flip about that line, right? And then that gives me my handle, and then I could come in here with a circle, pick a spot, any spot, and find a circle. We have to still center it. So if I take this and snap it right to that center line there, I should be able to, with my smart snapping on, it should give me a dotted line that I can actually kind of just drag the center of that circle out, and I could kind of bring it in just right about where those lines would meet, right? A little bit closer. So again, when I'm dragging and everything, that dotted line, that smart snapping and all, I can just, as long as I'm following that line, I can come in like that. And then with this, I could simply, with my scissors, I could come in and trim. Oop. Now, on this, when this line, this trim occurred, I'm going to undo that trim, and I'm going to actually trim away the line here first, the line here second, and then this line in the middle third, so I don't have that issue and all. And then I'm going to take my circle tool and find the center of my circle there, and I can create a little thumb ring, finger ring, whatever you want to call it, and that would represent my handle. Now, the handle has to be connected to that part. And so now, let me group that together. I can take and pull out that pizza handle, and I've got my little tray divider, right? And all. So when it comes to creating the handle, we just need to make sure that when this piece sits down in the base, that the handle fits in between where this pocket is getting grooved out, right? And if we wanted a little bit tighter fit to where, you know, remember the pocket's getting cut right up to here and everything, we could actually, I could have snuck this line back to here a little bit further, not right on it, maybe a little off, and I could have widened that up, right? But really no need to, right? And now, before I, what I want to do is I need that, if that was my handle design, right? Before I trimmed everything, I could have, and let me hit undo. Let me go undo, Control Z, once, twice, right there. Oh, let me go back to, let me put my circle back in there. So I could have taken my handle here, selected it, G for group to group it, and then I could revolve that handle circular array 6 times around, going around the center of the material. Double click on the little dot right in that device there. That little circle right there to get center 0, 0. And then I could revolve that around 6 times to put the handle on each of those pieces, right? And then all I would need to do at that point is I could go in and just do my trimming. Now, if I wanted to make things visually easier for myself for trimming, I could separate things by layers. So I could take my pocket rectangles, select all 6 of them, I'm going to change this pocket. I'm going to position this pocket because this centered around where it should be. That one's good. That one's good. Little off there. Little off there. All right, I'm going to bear with me just a second. That tells me that when I did my circular array, because it divides it evenly 6 times, when I did my circular array on my pockets, they weren't exactly centered, right? So, no worry, no fear. Let's go in and my span, if I go to this measure tool right here, and I measure a span is a point between 2 nodes. If I click on this span right here, that span has an overall length of 7.4979, right? And so the center of that would be half of that, right? So 74979. I'm going to write that down because I'm not going to be on that screen for very long. 7.4979. So what I'm going to do, and the span is this span here. So let's close that. It's that one going from this side of the tray to that side of the tray, right? I'm going to take a line, and I'm going to draw a line right straight up here, spacebar. Now, on this, I'm going to rotate this around my center, my board center there. I'm going to rotate this around half of that 7.4949. Bear with me a second. Let's go to the circular array tool, and technically it's a 45-degree angle. I could do that too, which means like a step angle. From one place to another, I could go 45 degrees, and I could go 1 time. I could, base it off that. And I should, if I'm going to do that, I should move this to the center here. Either way, it doesn't matter. And if I step that around off the center, 1 time, one time, stand by 1 moment. My line has a kink in it. Give me 1 second. Node editing. I'm going to select this point, hold down the shift key and select this point. I'm going to hit the letter X left to right to straighten that up. Okay. All right, circular array. It's not going to let me copy in that fashion. So I'll just go 45 degrees. Why is it not going to let me do that? Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. I've got a little bit of an anomaly here. Center. 360 degrees. Do I have a tool open? I have a tool open. Do I have another tool open? That one. All right, Banana Fana, hold on a second, ladies and gentlemen. We have encountered an anomaly. It's not rotating around the center of my material. Number of copies. It needs 2, not 1. 1 is itself. Got to be 2 or more. Okay, let's go back to our step angle there, and let's go 45 degrees. All right, let's copy that over, and that is, all right, so 360 divided by 6. 360 divided by 6 equals 60 degrees. Let's copy that. That is true. And so that would be 30 degrees, ladies and gentlemen. 30 degrees is our magic number. Boom. There we go. Process of elimination, evidently. All right. I don't know why the heck I was thinking 45 degrees. I'm thinking 90, 45, you know, but that's actually over here somewhere. The 6 slices, 360 degrees around, 60 degrees, you know, for each slice. Divide that in half, that's 30 degrees, and that brings me to my center. Lord have mercy, it took a minute to get there. All right, so now I know that 1 is 1 and 2 is 2, right? So I want to take this shape here, and you can see I'm off that center mark, and I'm just going to literally slide it on and snap to that line. The back and forth here, as long as it cuts that pocket out, right? As long as I have room, you know, to cut that pocket, I just want to be on that line. Now I can turn right around and I can delete. I'll keep this one. This is going to be my original. I can come in here and delete these. And I'll go ahead and take that. Let's get this handle centered in here. So what I'll do with the handle is if I select this and this, it's not a left to right kind of thing. So I can't just do like a line to left to right, because it's not going to work that way. So what I'm going to do is I will snap this down to that corner, and still got plenty of room to get out of that pocket and everything. I'm good there. So I'm going to now take that, now that I've got it all laid out and centered, I can now select that as a whole. Come to my circular array tool. Go around the center of 0, 360 degrees around for a total of 6 times. And rotating around the center of our board. Bring that around. Oh, bear with me just a moment. Let's do that one more time. Oh, Lord of mercy. We want total angle, ladies and gentlemen. Total angle. Pay attention to Laney, what I'm doing here. Total angle. Rotate copies 6 times around on the center of our material. So go make sure we're back at the center and copy that bad boy around. Woo! Lord have mercy. All right. Let's go back and see if we have any questions here. Let's see here. Absolutely. Hey, Kool-Aid. How you doing, bud? John Thompson, Janet, Chad Jones, Jim, Nance, Wally. How y'all doing? All right. Thanks for popping in. Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, now a couple of things. Number one, we're going to, we don't need these lines. They actually serve no purpose whatsoever. So we can go in there and delete those 6 lines to get them out of the design. Okay, we can come in here and I'm going to hold down the shift key and turn off my pizza parts, turn off my profile, and turn off my groups. That group, that. I'm just clicking on those groups because what I want left is just my rectangles selected because I need to, I'm going to group them together. I need to recalculate that toolpath, that section pockets. It needs to be recalculated on these new positions, right? And one open vector is selected. Let me see here. Okay. Hang tight for 1 second. We're going to hit ungroup, U for ungroup. I'm going to right click and tell it to select all open vectors. Right there at the top is the only one, that line. And these should all be closed. Calculate. Yeah, so I had that line selected there. All right, let's reset the preview and preview the tool path, all the tool paths again, that pocket and everything. And that will clean up our mess, right? Now, once that is done, we have our pocket and then we have our little cutouts there, and then the profile cut. That's our tray, nicely divided this time, no screw ups and everything. And when I revolve that part around, it should be that part. Now those selected vectors, I'm going to move them to a new layer, and I'm going to call this layer my base. Tray handle pockets, tray handle pockets, and I'm going to turn the visibility off on them for right now because I still need to come back in here, and I'm going to take my wall of my tray there and I'm going to move that to another layer, and I'm going to call this my base vectors. I'm going to turn that visibility off for a moment, and that leaves me with just this, my 6 pieces and the handles. Now I can go through a little easier with my scissors, and I can first of all, I cannot trim grouped objects, so my handles, these handles are all grouped, so I'm going to ungroup everything. Ungroup everything. And 2 ways I could go about this. Number one, I could turn off my internal circles right there, those circles, and I could just hit the weld tool to weld the parts together, or I could take the scissors and trim them. So one way would be I could go in there and turn off this circle here. And then I could come over and hit the weld tool to weld those parts together, right? Get rid of the overlaps and weld them together. That's one way. Or the second way, I could take the scissors and come in and just run my mouse, hold down the left mouse button and just run the mouse over those parts. Either one of the two. Weld is quicker, of course, but you need to know how to do it both ways if you're new here. So again, I'm just holding down the left mouse button, and whatever line it goes over, it just trims to that intersection, right? All right. And so now here on here, the next thing would be to just lay this out, right? So I'm going to create a new sheet. And by the way, I'm going to make these vectors available to you all. We're going to go add new sheet. And this will be my new trays. I'll call it new trays. And on those new trays, I'll select this and move this over to that layer, that sheet. And then it's just a matter of, you know, here, just literally, I'm just kind of spacing things out, right? Now, if I want to spread things out evenly like I did here, the only thing that I did was I took a line and I just went down the center of my board. I rotated that line around 6 times, technically 3 times. Let's see, I'm going to be actually going around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rotate around the center of my board. Yeah, 12 times. 12, and I could also do the 30-degree angle, right? But that just gives me this line right here. And the sole purpose of that line, the sole purpose of me doing that, should I say, is so that I could take the part, click on it, and I can grab this and just slide it along that line a little bit in that direction. Grab it. I'm grabbing it when I grab it. Oops. When I go to move it, I'm grabbing it right on this line on that vector, so I can just slide it up that line. And all I'm doing is just spreading them out, right? And you don't have to do that. Just you could use your arrow keys and move them. I'm just trying to keep them somewhat in order. And once I can't move those out too far. I moved that one out too far because I wasn't paying attention. Got to stay on the board. All right, now with that, I can get rid of those lines. They serve absolutely no purpose whatsoever. Oh, I shot off of this one. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about the lines. I'm just going to pull this back in just to get on the board there. And I don't care where, as long as my bit fits in between, you know, that kind of thing. Just as long as my bit fits to cut those out and that they're on the board. So there's our pizza tray, ladies and gentlemen. Very simple thing. We started off with a 15 3/4 inch circle. We offset it inward 3/8 of an inch. That creates the wall. We took a rectangle that was 1 inch by 3/4 of an inch, and The reason why those rectangles were 1 inch by 3/4 of an inch were so that this 3/8 inch wall, they would come past, you know, that wall, right? So 1 inch by 3/4, you know, somewhat, you know, center on the wall, just as long as the bit can come in here and clear out that pocket, right? And you can see I have more on this side than this side, but it doesn't matter as long as it comes in there. And once we, second time around, first time around, I didn't have them centered at all on that where that tray is going to divide and stuff. But once we found that 30 degrees and copied those around, that creates our pocket. And then we, on our divider lines, we offset those 3 lines that was rotated around, you know, 3 times, and it made those 6 pieces. We offset them in both directions, 1/16 of an inch. And then our ring, our inner ring, we offset that by a 32nd of an inch. I'm sorry, everything was a 32nd. 32nd of an inch in both directions equals a 1/16. So my mind was going crazy there. But we did an offset in both directions on a 32nd. The ring, we offset inward on a 32nd. And then we trimmed everything together. That created the individual trays. Inside here, we simply took an arc tool and from the inside of there to somewhere out here, right? To somewhere out here, we just created a subtle arc. We took a line, we drew a straight line down the middle of this, and we flipped that arc about the line, and then we drew a circle, had that circle follow that line up, and then to where everything linked together, and we made the handle, right? Just very simple stuff. And then once we had the parts laid out, then we could move them over and lay them out for cutout, right? So on sheet 1 and the trays sheet, we have the tool pass. On the trays sheet, there's just the edge groove V's, which we haven't laid out yet, and then the profile cutout. So that's all done on the old original trays, but on the new ones here, we're going to go with the new one. I got to create my little V grooves. So we're going to be doing a single line, V groove line. And in this case, we're going to select all of these parts right here. We're going to copy them to a new layer. We're going to copy them to a new layer. And this layer is going to be our edge grooves. And I'll even make that like a color that we might be able to see, red or something. And what that is going to do for us, I can come in here and turn off all of our other parts, right? So that the only thing that's visible is these edge grooves here. Because I'm going to go into node editing, and in node editing, I'm going to just cut the vector on the 2 ends. Cut that vector there and there. Cut it here and here. All the way around, just on the 2 sides. Cut the vector. Okay, and okay, so then now I can come in and I can select the handle part of this and just delete them. I don't need that. I just need those straight lines. And these lines will represent the lines of the tool path, those lines there. So those lines would be a profile cut, cutting 0.0725. It's just a little over 1/16 of an inch. Instead of 0.625, I'm going 0.725, that 10,000ths of an inch. And going to be using a 60-degree V-bit. On the line, and this will be our kind of V grooves. and then we'll calculate that. Okay, so that's just going to cut those, those V grooves there and everything. And again, it's literally just a shallow V groove, just a it's only, a little more than a 1/16, but it's just a nice little V groove, something that kind of guides our knife in to place. And it's just, think of it like a chamfer, if you will. And we could have used the chamfer toolpath back in the day. I didn't have the chamfer toolpath, so, but this is just a simple chamfer because our actual tool path, the actual vectors, this, that, and that, is going to be a profile cut, cutting all the way through the material. And this material is a 1/2 inch thick, so 0.5. Using a 1/4 inch end mill. Let me make sure that guy he's still on the board. That's all that counts. And 1/4 inch end mill on the outside of the line. Now the software is smart enough for those of you that are new, that aren't really familiar with the Vectric software yet. When we're cutting on the outside of the line, the software actually knows that there's an inside vector. So it will reverse the cut and create an inside cut to cut out that inside vector. So all we have to do is select outside right. When we calculate the toolpath, it will see that we have a vector selected on the inside, and it will cut the inside of that inside line, right? Not on the outside and everything. So the software is intuitive that way. So once we cut that out, we'll then have our part here. That was the wrong undo last. So we'll have that part, and we'll have that simple small chamfer. It's literally just a shallow chamfer and everything right on the edges. 60-degree V-bit going a little over a 1/16 of an inch. It's just a little chamfer that when these two parts are together and all, it just creates kind of a groove for the knife, the roller pizza cutter to fall into and everything. When Laney revolves, he revolves. Hey Wally, how you doing, buddy? It's literally just a slight edge chamfer, nothing major, in there and all that. Now this center hole here, of course, on all this we can add tabs, right, to hold the pieces in place while they're getting cut. But if you find that the center hole, our little offset that we did, for that circle and everything, if you find that it's too thick for you, then you can make it smaller for yourself, right? If I look at this, like if you feel it's too thin and it could possibly break or something like that, or whatever the case may be, I wasn't paying attention when I made that circle. I just drew it, saw what looked good to me. But if I were to measure, it's about a 1/4 inch wide, right? So if I made that a hole, a 1/16 of an inch smaller, or an 1/8 of an inch smaller, that would bring me up to a 3/8 inch ring, right? And everything. And that might be a little bit more stable. 1/4 inch might be too light, but that's a simple fix. All I have to do is this particular circle right here, right now, is 1.1 inches in diameter, right? So if I came in and I'm at 1.1, if I subtracted an 1/8 of an inch from that, so minus 0.125 equals 0.97, I could come and snap to the center of that and just click, 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 in the center of each of those. It snaps, that smart snapping and geometry snapping. It snaps to there, and then I can go in, I could go in and delete the outer ring. Notice that ring, that circle I created is red. That's because I'm still in that edge groove layer where those edge grooves were red. So, okay. And so that, you know, with that, I could come back in and recalculate this toolpath, making sure that I select the new circles here. And recalculate. Reset the preview and preview all toolpaths. Now, if you wanted to, on this outside edge right here, coming around this outside edge, if you wanted a slight little round over to give it just a little bit of ease on that edge so it's not so sharp and old. Now remember, these edges down here, down the side, we have a V groove. So it would just be this profile edge right around here. You could even do the inside circle if you wanted to, right? If I was doing the inside circle, this is 3/8 of an inch here. Now it should be, if I did my math right, if I did my math right, that's saying a lot for me. Hold on a second here. Let me pick a spot that looks good. Close. It's probably there. But if I ran an 1/8 inch round over bit, like the white side 2050 on these two here, it would be an 1/8 inch and an 1/8 inch, and there'd still be a little bit in the middle. I don't think it would look too bad with this big of a hole there, because it's kind of like a finger hole, thumb hole, whatever, you know, whatever, however you want to hold it. You know, the tray, it's kind of meant to just, I don't know, however you want to hold it. But if I was going to do that, if you recall, a few minutes ago, before I deleted them, I had cut these parts, this profile, from the V grooves, and I ended up deleting them. If I would have kept them, I could have used those to create the roundover toolpath, right? So hindsight being 2020, I should have. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to turn the edge grooves off. Sorry, I'm not going to turn the edge grooves off until I close this tool. Let me go into these circles. And let me move them to a new layer. I'll just put them in my old V grooves where they, just so they're not on that layer. But if I turn off my edge grooves, which are those lines there, once again, I could take these. I'm missing a circle somewhere. Bear with me just a second. Go. All right, one more time. If I turn off the edge grooves, stand by, ladies and gentlemen. My I think I move, and I don't move. Move to layer. There we go. There we go. We're cooking with some gasoline now. If I took these one more time, if I selected these vectors one more time, and I copied them again to a brand new layer, I'll call this my round over vector. Round over vector. And you could also do a round over on the outside of that tray as well too. if I do that and I turn off everything, except for that roundover vector, I could go back in once again. And again, I created more work for myself, not kind of thinking ahead of the game. But I could come back in here again and simply cut the vector. And since I'm not using these straight lines and everything, rather than coming in and right-clicking and cut the vector and making sure I'm right on that vector, I'm just going to come in here in node editing. And if I hit the letter D, when I hover my mouse over a line, it'll delete the span. And a span is a line, an arc curved line between two nodes. So if I just hover my mouse over these straight lines and hit the letter D, then I can simply delete those lines, and it will do, instead of that right click cut vector, right click cut vector. And I can also hit the letter C when I'm on a node, and that stands for cut vector 2. So I'll show you that. When I right click and everything on a line, the cut vector is the letter C and the delete span is the letter D, right? So, but now I have these vectors here that I could use for the roundover. Now it's very important to know where the start point is, okay? So the start point for each of these are varying. You know, there's start points here on this one, there on this one. That's good. Those are the same. That's good. That's the same. This one is opposite, so I'm going to actually make this the start point over here. I'll make this one the start point over here. And I'll make this one the start point over here. So the start point is going to be on the left side, if you will, of each of these parts. Now, when you're figuring out, okay, if I'm going to do a roundover, what side of the line do I need to be on? You want to imagine yourself. That you're standing. I'll make you a star here. I did this last night. Imagine you're standing here, and imagine you're staring right at the start point. And you know, when if I'm going to rotate this star, so let me get out of node editing here. Okay, let me get them down there. All right. Imagine the point of this star right here is your head, right? So that red node, there's your head. This, when you're facing that way, this is your left side and this is your right side, right? So on the start point, this is the right side, outside, left side, inside, okay, right and left. And the reason why that's important is because when you're doing things like a profile cut, you have outside right, inside left. When you're doing things like an offset, you have outside right, inside left, right? So you want to know if you're cutting on the outside or the inside or on the line, right? So that's important. And it's that node. If I'm standing looking at the node, the green node, you got to imagine yourself standing looking at the end of it, your left side and your right side, no matter where that node is positioned. If that node was positioned over here, this would be the left inside. This would be the right outside. Over here, this is the right outside. This is the left inside. So it's completely opposite. You got to know where the node is and which way, you got to be standing behind the node, right? To, your left and right. And it could get confusing. So in this case, by putting all the start points on that, right side there, all I have to do is, with my roundover bit, I can come in here and I'm going to cut 1/4 of an inch deep. I'm going to cut on the outside right of the line. Outside right of the line. And I'm going to be using my white side 2050. White side 2050 1/8 inch roundover. Now, I need the roundover to go over the line by half the bit. So let's go look at this tool for a second. And on this tool, the distance between the outer edge, that outer blade of the tool, and the inside of the roundover, which is in this case is 1/8 of an inch distance from here to here, that offset distance, that is how far I need the bit to go over the line so that it creates that roundover. And that's a negative number. And someone last night, I explained in our private members group that asked and all, it doesn't matter if you're on the inside of the line or the outside of the line. When you're doing the allowance offset, it's still a negative number. When you need that bit to cross over the line, whether you're on the outside or the inside, if that bit's going to cross over the line, it's a negative offset allowance. And if you want to be away from the line, no matter what side you're on, that's a positive offset number. So we're going to go with a negative offset of 1/8 of an inch. Okay, negative 0.125. So this way I can select all of these vectors. Okay, I can also go ahead and select my inside circles too. And I can come in here and calculate my cut. All right, let's go. It didn't like the combination of the open and closed vectors being selected at the same time. So let's do that again. Calculate. All right, and so we'll do the inside circles separately. So let's turn this upright so you can see. And when we preview that toolpath, what that's going to do is just give ourselves a nice subtle roundover, right? Now, because of the size of my hole, I'll still do the holes, but if I feel that when I do the roundover, if it's just a little bit too much, you know what I mean? Then I might just break the edges with some sanding, light sanding, or I might make those holes just slightly smaller. I don't want to make them too small. I don't want them too tight and everything, but you know, bear with me a second, negative 0.125. But if I feel that when I do this roundover in this preview and all, if I feel that once it's done with the roundover, if that ring were too thin, you know, or whatever, which is really not, it's still 3/8, it's just rounded over on the top. But I would change that inside circle, right? Hell, I could even change the outside circle and make it bigger if I wanted to, as long as the neck, it's important that the neck fits through my grooves on my base. You know what I mean? All right, cool. Don't forget to save, absolutely. So file, save as, and this will be the pizza platter base and tray. I'm going to call it new, and I'll go 2023 and save that design. All right, so now we have, there's a slight chamfer groove, very small chamfer groove here on the edges of these pizza platters. We have a nice little round over on this outside edge just to kind of soften up the edges, right, to make it a little bit hand friendly and stuff and things like that. Now keep in mind, guys and girls, that just because we rounded over the top, the bottoms are still, you know, straight and all. So when you're sanding, you're going to break those edges so they're not sharp on someone's hand. We want them as comfortable as possible and stuff like that. But that is, ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell, our pizza tray. And I will make, I'll clean up the files all nice and pretty and everything, and I'll make those available for you. And when you're gluing up your panels, you don't need just your face or edge gluing these boards to create these panels. You don't need oh god, biscuits, right? We don't want no biscuits being exposed and all that stuff. You know, your glue is going to be stronger than the wood. You're going to be rinsing these from time to time, you know, the tray and all. If there's any juices, you know, spaghetti and all that, or not spaghetti, pizza greases and oils and things dripping down in the tray or whatever the case may be. So I would probably glue my panels up with like a Titebond 3, which is waterproof and stuff. And your finish on these, food safe finish. So salad bowl oil finish, butcher block finish, which creates kind of a built-up finish and all. You could do a beeswax and mineral oil finish. Really, any finish that, as long as it's cured long enough, you know, and all, it becomes kind of somewhat food safe. But I wouldn't recommend like polyurethanes and any of that stuff. But those natural, tight to the grain finishes, they look really good. You know, it's, you got to think of it kind of almost like you know, like your cutting boards and stuff, right? So, give me a thumbs up if you thought that was a pretty cool kind of project concept or idea. And now we're going to go from scratch and we're going to create our cheese tray and wine holders and everything. Okay? So, with that being said, let me pop me up to full size here for a moment. All right. Now, our cheese tray, which you saw a photo of it, and I will let me close up these images here. All right, one more time. Let me come in and open this up kind of over my right shoulder. Let's minimize that. There we go. Okay. Now let's try to get down into one of these here. And I'm looking over this way, ladies and gentlemen, because I want to just make sure it's showing me, the screen over here is showing me the view that you're seeing. I just want to make sure that you're seeing it and everything. Now, this tray, ooh, I buffered. Buffered. All right, guys. All right, y'all are using, I like you paid members using those thumbs up emoji. Let me know if you can still see and hear me, or if I buffered on you. What am I buffering for? Stand by your man. You're going to get a black screen if you can still hear me or see me. You're going to get a black screen while it kicks in. I buffered earlier. Okay. Your goodness buffering here. Your goodness. You're good. Buffering here. All right, Kool-Aid. Thank you for that. Good here. Okay. So for some odd reason, I'm on my screen, I'm buffering. Okay. No buffering. So, all right, real quick. Wine glasses come in all shapes and sizes. So they could be a champagne glass, right? You know, with a slight stem and that small round over. I don't know how well you can see, but you know, here, just a simple champagne type glass. Depending on the party or occasion, what we want is we want that groove for that cheese, you know, to that groove, that stem of that glass can sit in there, and it kind of sits down in the pocket, so it can't easily fall out, right? So when they're carrying that tray around, the wine glass kind of sits in that groove, right? And this is a champagne glass. Now, some wine glasses could be a little bit bigger, and I brought my holiday collection out for this, but you know, we just kind of keep in mind, you know, our slot. You're really gonna, you know, you want to accommodate. If you could Google, you know, what's the standard, you know, thickness of a wine glass stem, standard wine glass dimensions, whatever the case may be. But you have to understand, and there's goblets and all kinds of things. So you have to understand that depending on the type of glass, and I don't really have a wine glass. I have little goblets. I have, I guess you could call this a wine glass. And then I have a champagne glass and everything. But the necks and everything, they're not too far off. The necks here, where they widen up, they're not too far off on dimensions. All right. And, right, screw wine, drink more beer. There you go. They are, they're not too far off dimension. Now, the champagne glass is the only one that's skinny, right? But still, we just want it to kind of, you know, sit in there. So we just need to make sure that our slot, it's important that our slot is wide enough and everything when we create these little trays and stuff. All right. And also, yeah, you could also have it where it holds a beer glass too, right? Okay. So let's go back over and let me minimize myself. I just wanted to kind of pop up large for that, just to kind of talk about the glass, the stems and everything. Let's go over here and let's come in here and close this design down. And we're going to create a brand new one. And on here, I'm going to go with a I'll just go 20 by 20. And 3/4, I mean, again, you can go thicker. You got to think of this as being a tray. You know, 1 inch thick is a nice thickness, 1.5 inches. 3/4, like that pizza tray. There's no problem with that, right? It's just a platter. But now this base serves dual purpose. So the base of this tray when it's not housing the trays, you know, for storage and all that stuff, that platter is a cheese and meat and vegetable and fruit platter, right? It fills that up, you know, and you're going to be filling that with all kinds of beautiful little assortment of finger foods and cheeses and appetizers and whatever the case may be, right? So 3/4 inch thick material, nothing wrong with that at all, where you have like a 1/2 inch pocket or something, or 3/8 inch pocket, you know, where there's a little wall to catch everything. Or you could go deeper, just depending on what you want. You don't need to go crazy with it, but we want something that is nice stored away. But now on this one, the pocket is going to be the same depth of the trays, so that when the trays are stored away, everything is nicely flat packed, you know what I mean, and everything. And it's also great for shipping if you're selling these or whatever, all that stuff. But the depth of the pocket and the thickness of these trays are going to be the same, so that when they're stored away in there, everything is flat packed and stored away. So I'm going to go here. I'll be content with a 3/4 inch tray. No problem there. Let me think. Yeah, no problem there. All right, so let's go ahead and click OK. I'm touching off on the material surface. I'm starting off with the bottom left corner. And my diameter of the part, you can make it really as big as you want, right? But we're going to go 18 inch. diameter, and that will be the inside diameter. And then we're gonna create a wall thickness, right? The thickness on the outer tray, and you can make it as thick as you want. I like 3/8. That's kind of my go-to on my wall thicknesses and things. So I'm gonna offset this outward. Oh, I had the hiccups. 0.375. 3/8 looks great. 1/2 inch. As a matter of fact, let's do 1/2 inch because I want to do a round over on the inside and outside. So let's go 1/2 inch. So undo 1/2 inch. Looks good. 0.5. Okay. So my platter, the whole outside and everything here, overall, we're looking at a 19-inch serving dish, if you will. And the inside pocket area is going to be 18 inches with a 1/2 inch wall, right? 1/2 inch on this side, 1/2 inch on that side equals 1 inch. That's why it's 18 and 19. Cool. All right. Now, you need a slot for a large mug. There you go. That will not hold a quart jar of iced tea. That's for sure. That's for sure. I swear, I drink out of mason jars. My glasses are mason jars for my sweet tea and stuff. And I thought the other day, man, I need something to accommodate my mason jar. You know, a tray with threads in it that I could screw them up in. I don't know, but anyway, for me, it would be. Here's my way of thinking. It would be a handheld platter. The bottom side would actually have threads on it that would match the mason jar, and there'd be a hole in there for a straw. So when I put my tea in there, all I have to do is screw that in, and I have a straw that I can just drink from with the tray. All right, anyway, that's the redneck in me. All right, let's go ahead and now we're going to divide this up very similar to the way that we did the pizza slices and all. And it's also going to be it's a 7-piece kit, you know, the 6 trays and then the base 7, right? So literally what you just saw with the pizza tray is going to be very much the same way here. We're going to come in with a single line. On that line, we're going to just draw a line right straight down the middle, 90 degrees, space bar to finish. And we're going to take that line. Let me get it snapped to there since I'm down here on that. That's good. And we're going to use our rotate tool. We're going to rotate around 3 times around the center of our material. 3 times around, 360 degrees to create those 6 individual dividers, right? Love the mason jar idea, right? The picture's not clear. Darwin, if your picture or screen is not clear on your YouTube channel, your YouTube that you're watching from, there's a little, is it a gear icon, ladies and gentlemen? I think it's a gear icon that you'll click on, and you can change the resolution, and you need to change it to 1080p because that's what I'm streaming it. It is probably set to like 460 or something by default. You need to change it to 1080p, and everything on the screen will clear up. Okay, and then we'll go from there. All right, so now, again, this just created our 6 areas, right, our divided areas, but it didn't create our actual parts. We need the extra lines to create those parts and everything. And literally, same scenario, I'm going to offset each line in 2 directions, both directions, using the offset tool, both directions. And I literally want that gap of that 1/16 of an inch gap, kind of. So I'm going to offset, because it's 2 sides, 16th, 32nd on this side, 32nd on that side equals a 16th. So that's what I'm going to do, 0.03125. And we're going to go in both directions. and offset. Hold on a minute. Okay, sorry. The software is weird. Sometimes these warnings pop up that don't even need to be there. But it's good that they do. All right. So once that's done, I can come in and on my 3 original lines here, I can go ahead and delete those. I don't need them anymore. And then again on my inner ring here that represents my pocket, I'm going to offset inward this time, 3/16. And it's like rinse and repeat. Okay. We're going to go through with our scissors and we're going to, trim away in between these 2 lines here and there, right? So that T, we're going to make that T all the way around. Get rid of this excess out here and here. Zoom in between those 2 lines and there. Create that T. Mason jar. Yep. Yeah, and you know how they have, like, you know, people carry around Yeti cups and all that stuff and everything, and they have the pop-on lids and all that stuff. We could make a nice wooden threaded cap that has some decorative carving, 3D model carving or whatever on the top, you know, with a hole in it for, you know, your straw, you know, we could sell mason jars with decorative lids and all for people to take to the gym when they're watered on, if they're not big enough for water, but you know what I mean. Yeah, man, we could have a mason jar, a 12-pack of mason jars is like, what, $8 or $10 at Publix, and I don't know if you guys have Publix up north, but we have them down here. It's a grocery store. You know, they're not expensive. All right, we're going to trim with our scissors on the inside here, trimming away these areas here, and then we'll get rid of that inside. And again, what that's done is that's created those individual parts there. Now, the one difference on these is these parts do not come to a point like our pizza trays did and everything. They're actually going to be blunt and everything. And let's come in here and take a close look here. You can almost see, you know, it's very blunt. And then we have that opening, the stem opening, and then that little pocket area where things rest and stuff, right? And so when those 6 pieces are installed in here, there's an opening right there, that's a hole that created those trims. And now what they did, if you look very closely and you pay attention to the geometry of things, they created like an octagon, right? So it was straight lines. They didn't do a circle to where this was curved. You know, if I created a circle in here at the, you know, center, and I created a circle, then each of those parts would be curved. Well, what they did was they created an octagon, not an octagon, a decagon? No, wait, hold on. What's 6? Octagon is 8. Hexagon. Hexagon? Hexagon. And they created a 6-sided here. And then I got to rotate it. One, two, three, four, 5, 6. Just making sure I had my size right. All right, let me come in here and get out of this circle. But that's what they did. So here, let me get rid of this. 6 sides, create that, and then we're going to rotate this. I'm going to hit the number 9 on my keyboard, and rotating it 45 degrees is too far. We need to rotate it 30 degrees, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to come into the rotate tool, and we're going to do a relative rotate on the center of it, and we're going to rotate it 30 degrees. Okay, and that's going to create this, kind of divider. Now, the size that I created the hexagon at is not, it's a big, it's not the right size. I need everything to be somewhat, kind of uniform and stuff. But what you'll see is, we don't need it to be that big. Let's hold down the shift key. Come in here. And the oddity of it all is the way the sides are created. They're not created equal. This isn't quite center between these two lines here, but it is here. Not here, but it is here, right? I don't have an explanation for that, because my board was centered on the material. My parts were divided evenly, offset evenly to create that part. So why I'm off, I'm centered here left to right, but my little angles, because of the hexagon, because of what it is what it is, it's just not the right size. And that's fine. But I long story short, I'm not doing the hexagon. I prefer the circle. I like the round curve. There would not have been any problem. I was creating a problem that wasn't there. If I were, these are all the same size right here, and if I came in and trimmed away with the scissors, if I came in and trimmed that away, and then I came in and trimmed this away, that away, that, and that, would not make one absolute difference. And that, by the way, the circle needs to be much wider, or the hexagon needs to be much bigger, because we need our wind stems to be able to fit in there, right? But it would not make one difference that those points were not centered and everything in there. But for me, I don't know if I have a little bit of OCD in it. It drives me crazy, right? When I see something like that, because my mind can't grasp, what's going on. Why am I centered here? Why am I not centered there? When 6 points, 6 sides, blah, blah, blah. Everything should line up, but it doesn't. Okay. That being said, I'm not going to do the hexagon. I'm going to do a circle. I want a nice curve on the inside of mine. But before I do that, I need to kind of figure out how big my slot needs to be for my wind stems. And for me to do that, I actually need to back up let me get all the way back. I'm hitting the control key to back, all the way to this trim here. Let me see. When did I divide my lines? Okay. All right. I'm not going to be able to do it that way I want. I was going to try to undo back to my lines. I'm just going to redraw my center line again. I'm going to re-rotate that center line. Oh. I'm going to re-rotate that center line again. And I'm going to offset. Oh no, sorry, this is not 3 this time. This one is 12. I'm going to rotate it 6 times around at 30-degree increments. So I'm going to do step angle 30 degrees. 30, 30, 12. Okay. Now, that line, that divider line that I just created here, this line, is going to get offset in both directions, and that's going to give me the vector that I'm going to use for the slot right here. So it's basically, you know, this is going to get offset however wide that stem is, and that's going to give me that slot. So on this vector here, I'm going to offset it in both directions, and the stem, I'll use my wine glass, not the champagne glass, where it is going to slide through. I'm going to make my slot 20. 25, 30 seconds. 25, 30 seconds equals 0.78125. So that is 0.78125. That is 11/16, isn't it? Just under. Yeah, 7125. That's good. 25, 30 seconds. Anyway, that distance, that's how wide my stem is, right? That's how wide the stem is on this wine glass. I need to, and I'm just going to round this up to an even 0.8. Make it simple on everybody, right? And I'm going to divide that by 2. Okay? And that's how far I need to offset my lines in each direction. Okay, that's going to be, that'll be my slot coming in. And if I measure, that's not the measure tool, that's the text tool, ladies and gentlemen. If I measure from here to here, I should be at 0.8, right? And that, and the reason why I'm working in that 30 seconds and all is because that's what my rulers said, 30 seconds. Okay. And so that's what I want to be at, and I want to do that. Let me hit undo there. I want to do that on each of these dividing lines. So this one, don't do that. Okay, so that one, and that one. I want to offset in both directions 0.4 to create that. Now, all this extra stuff can get removed, right? So the center line can get removed. Keep those the wider lines. Get rid of everything that does not apply, so that way it's like not going, you know, like what in the world's going on here and all that good stuff. Okay, now that will tell me on my circle here, it will give me a general idea of how big my circle needs to be on my parts and stuff. And remember, my points of the pieces are here. So this is the points of all of those trays. When I create that circle and everything, I don't want to lose. I don't want a big old, this is almost 2 inches right here, and that's a little much and everything. What I want is when I trim this and everything, when I trim this, I want to make sure that what am I trying to say? I want to make sure that I have enough meat. And so I will make this circle 2.5. Let's go 2.25. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm literally just going to run them around in this middle area here. Clearing away everything inside that circle. Let me zoom in up close and personal for you guys and girls. All right. I'm holding down the left mouse button. I'm not clicking. As long as the mouse, hovers over when I'm in the scissors there, it'll trim away those intersections and stuff. All right. So now, here and all, I need to, on my individual pieces, this is my piece here, I need to come in and cut my dividing line. There. It's in between the two all the narrows. That's the dividing line for all the parts. Okay, so now before I trim this here and everything and all, I've got to figure out how my trays in here, where my cheese is going to go and all that stuff. I got to create those trays and everything, and they're going to be an offset. So what I mean by an offset, so the profile here, this whole profile right here, there's going to be a big offset, and then there's going to be a circle somewhere right in here where the base of the glass, kind of a divot where the base of the glass sits. So when it comes in and it sits, it's what holds it so it doesn't tip or tilt or anything like that. It's going to have a small little cup so it kind of holds it upright no matter what you're doing. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to offset this. And these are shallow little dishes that we're going to be creating with like a bowl and tray bit, but I'm going to offset this, and I want to go inward. Now remember, we're creating, let me bring the picture up so you understand what we're creating. Right now we're focusing on this, ladies and gentlemen, this right here. And again, showing you this designer's way of thinking. They took that octagon shape that was here, and they offset that octagon even larger here, and that created the vector for the pockets on those 6 that created this end right here, this edge. And when they did all the trimming and everything, and they had all the vectors, they had this vector created. They then used a fillet tool to create the fillets, right? To create that, right? And so now this is a big manufacturing company, and overseas that make this. I don't know what they did with theirs, but that's the shapes, right? So you can see that 6-sided octagon. You can virtually kind of see it there. There's 3 sides of the 6, and that offset that was created this vector. And imagine this coming down to a sharp point, straight across, sharp point, and then they put a fillet in there to create the rounded soft edges of the tray, right? And the and that's not a bad idea and everything. I don't want to, I'm using kind of a circle here, and the ends are my circle. So if I were going to offset anything to create that edge of that tray, it would be that circle. But what I need to do first is I need to create the offset to create this wall from here to where the tray starts. And so I want to offset everything inward, and my magic number is 3/8. So I'm going to select these. Don't let these vectors, there's only 6 parts, so don't let all these lines and everything throw you. There's only 6 of these triangular shapes. Okay, these lines here in the middle, don't let them throw you. We're going to be using those for our grooves in just a moment, but when it comes to these shapes, there's only 6 of those shapes, and we're going to offset them inward 0.375. Okay, and that's going to create the back part of the tray for me, right? And again, like I said, with their trays, they did the fillet tool, and they probably used like a 1.5 inch fillet, normal fillet, and they come over here and round it off. 1.5 is a little bit too big, but they rounded off those corners and all to create that back side of the tray. 1.5 is too big. We're going to probably go with a 3/4 inch. And you know, it's going to, when you're in here, zoom in if you have to, but now my fillet tool's not working. Let's see. Yeah, 3/4 looks good. All right, now my fillet tool is not working here, and everything. So it's every other corner that it's not working on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up to here, and the offset that I do, I'm going to make sure that I have create square corners locked in. I'm going to offset inward that 3/8 of an inch. I want those square points. That will at least give me a fighting chance with my fillet tool that you know, I can fillet both corners. And see, make sure your mouse is right on that corner. But we're gonna zoom in so you can get to it. And that one is hiding there. Let me go into node editing and see what's happening here. So in node editing, you can see that line that got created, that offset line right there. There's all those points, so it really doesn't know what to do. And you see here, those points don't belong. So let's fix that. Let's undo. Okay. Right now we have this point and this point. Now when we offset, you would think that when we offset inward and everything, that on this vector here that was created, that when we go and look at node editing mode, that it would just be those same 2 points with that arc, and that's what it needs to be, right? So there's 2 approaches we can do here. Number 1, we can use the curve fit tool, okay? And on the curve fit tool, the circular arcs, we can change our tolerance. We can keep the sharp corners, and we can replace the vector. The angle, maximum angle, I don't want it to go, you know, I can change the maximum angle if I need to, but I should be able to preview that, and it should remove all of those nodes on there, right? So here, get rid of that one, that, and that. Okay. Now, when I'm using the fillet tool, since I don't have nodes blocking me on the corners, I should have no issues with, you know, radiusing those, because there's no node in the way that's stopping it from rounding over. All those nodes that were there was stopping it from rounding over, so it wouldn't fillet properly, right? Oh. Make sure you see the plus sign, not the X. or the check mark, sorry, not the plus sign, the check mark, not the X. Okay, so that's going to create the back side of those trays. The wall. Now this is the back side of the pocket, should I say, the back side of the pocket. Now, the inside of the pocket of the tray, okay? Like I said, what you saw in the design, they did kind of a hexagon, so they had kind of like a straight line almost kind of going across there. I'm going to I'm going to stick with kind of a circular frame, because the circle that's going to get created on the inside of the tray, the circle where my wine glass is going to go, it's going to, for me, it's going to be aesthetically more pleasing. So I'm going to take and at this point, you could literally just snap to the center and draw the circle out. And what we're looking at, I'm pointing at the screen like you can see what I'm pointing at. Let me turn the circle out. What we're looking at is this lip right here, where this cheese tray is, right? And remember now, we're gonna be filleting this, so it'll be rounding off there too. We want a big tray there. The glass is gonna come into right about here, so we don't need to be this big with our circle. But we wanna, you know, I would say probably right about there. And that is going to be our tray. And what gets trimmed, ladies and gentlemen, the most important thing that you have to remember and all, is our offset lines only. So we're going to use our scissors again. Now our offset is this shape here. So we are literally coming in and trimming away this line right there and that line there. That'll create that corner of the tray, the pocket part. Over here, this line and that line. Okay? When I come in and fillet this corner and that corner, that's going to be my pocket right there for my cheese tray. So at this point in time, the scissors, we can actually cut this away. We don't need those. You know, those lines were just there because they were there, but they're all trash. Right? We do keep this because we still got to make that groove for the slot. But that's where the little appetizers and stuff go. That's our pocket. This is our part, which we haven't trimmed down yet, and this is our pocket. Okay? All right, so now literally follow it around. Trim, trim, trim. Over, jump on this side, trim, trim, trim. And I'm just going to kind of work my way around. Keeping these lines in here, you can actually get rid of the lines in the middle if you want, if it makes it less confusing for you, right? So you can see and know what you're doing. But we're literally trimming away this and that. That creates that pocket right there. We're getting rid of that and that. This side and this side, and then this and that, that and that, that and that. So just go around get rid of that and that. And this is my last one, here and here. All right, now, before I jump into the middle and all that stuff, I'm going to come in with the fillet tool and just fillet my corners. Okay, and so that'll be the cheese trays. Now I can just come in and select these vectors. If I draw a box from left to right, it's only going to select what's 100% in my box. So if the vectors aren't 100%, it's not going to select them, but it will select the ones that I want to delete. And that way I can just select and hit delete. Now if I draw from left to right, anything my box touches, it will select, and that's not the way to go. All right, so now just kind of show you where we're at so far, just so you can see things in their current context. Bear with me a second. I'm going to move that out there. So this is our tray so far, right? That's going to be our pocket there. This is our little carry around tray. The wine glass is going to sit in here, and then the stem, and I forgot one of the lines. Let me pull that. Let me select that line. Okay. So we're going to have a little divot right here where the wine glass go, and then we're going to have a channel going into that, right? So that's kind of where we're at right now. Okay. All right. How y'all doing? Y'all doing okay? Let me see what we got here. Hexagon. Thank you very much. I was good. I was getting my confused. When you create the hexagon, y did not equal x. Wait, hold on a minute. Hold on. Gene's trying to tell me something. When I created the hexagon, y did not equal x. When I created the hexagon, y did not equal x. So, is that saying that if I snap this to the center of my board, and that is the center, 0, 0, let's actually get it centered on the material. There we go. All right, if I rotate that 30 degrees, my y didn't equal my x on the rotate, most likely, is what Gene's trying to tell me. So I'm going to do it in here based on the center of the part. And let's see here. That looked pretty centered there. That looks centered there. Thank you, Gene, for pointing and bringing that out. That's centered there. I don't know why I just exhaled. That felt good. Thanks, Gene. So when I rotated earlier, and I was using, ladies and gentlemen, I used this right here. What Gene was saying is that my y wasn't equal to my x. So my rotation, when I rotated, I did not quite rotate based on the center. It rotated off, so it threw everything off. And that's that, right? So that's why it wasn't there. But, and again, using a hexagon to create that tray line or whatever, if you don't want that curve in there for your tray, I like curves, but if you don't want that there, hexagon would be a great design. That's what they did there. And Gene Kilmer, thanks for that, man. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Okay, so fill it, don't spill it. All right, great project. Cool. All right, so now we've got our trays and everything. Now let's figure out our kind of our base little pocket and everything. And on that base pocket, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be kind of a pocket. You know, it's going to be, you know, rounded now. Ow! Oh, sorry, hit my elbow on the desk. And the way that that we could do that is using the our dish, like a dome and dish. Now, just so you know, that does create kind of a 3D element in this. No big deal. Everybody has a dome and a dish and everything. It does create kind of a 3D element and all. But just to show you this design here, right? I want you to understand the simplicity of what they did here. Okay, they drew a circle, and then they ran a chamfer, a V-bit. Let me get in there. They ran a chamfer, a V-bit, just to create a little angled wall, right? They didn't actually create a, you know, an actual dish, you know, for it to sit in, like a rounded dish. They just created a circle that was, you know, just wide enough, and they created a little bit of a chamfer, so it kind of created that little angle, so that that angled part right here, you know, on most stems where it's going from the wide to the thin, it just gives a place for it to sit into, right? That's all they did. So we could do that as well. We could, you know, depending on if we knew, like if I was making these trays for myself and I went through and figured out what my glass size was, the glasses that I would use with this serving feature, right? The wine glasses that I would use with the serving feature. I would, you know, determine what cup size I need basically as far as the dish. So it would be a perfect fit and all that, blah, blah, blah. But if we want this to be universal, where it can, you know, any of our stemmed glasses, if it's a baby shower, you know, type party, and we have champagne and we're using champagne glasses, or we're having a, you know, a Christmas party and there's wine, whatever the case may be, guys, you're just holding your beers, you know what I mean? But the circle with a little bit of a chamfer on the inside is a universal approach, so different types of glasses could fit into it, right? So, in here, I would make the circle big enough to where, I mean, I want you to just so you can kind of get the fun here of this, the different size, right, of the base of the glass. You know, that there is probably, you know, 1 inch thickness, and the this one is a lot wider, right? So, but where that V shape comes in, you know, it just depends on how far the glass is going to kind of be sitting in. Now, we want, this one's going to sit lower because it's thinner. It's going to sit lower, and that's fine. This one will sit a little higher, but we want kind of that, you know, that nice balance, right? No matter how they're being held. Okay. And so I think I'm going to bear with me just a moment. One and 12. I'm going to go 1 and 8, 30 seconds. All right, so. One and a quarter. All right. Now, my center, that, I don't know if you can see that dotted line that shot across there. My center line and everything, and my angled lines and all, I'm going to have a snapping point here horizontally, and I'm going to have a snapping point vertically. I will not have a snapping point, you know, or a dotted line on my 30-degree angles, right? Which is what these are and all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a circle to kind of help me out, where and I'm going to snap to the center here, and I'm going to come out, and I'm going to kind of come to right about where I want the center of my circle to be. Now, what I've done there by creating that circle, let me just give you an imagination here. This is going to be 1 1/4 diameter, and you know, from here, I don't know why I just drug instead of clicked. Let's try that one more time. 1 1/4. When I'm snapping to the center there and I click, that's going to give me that. That's going to give me that kind of resting spot. Now, also important, how wide the glass is up top, you know, the widest part of this glass and everything up here. We don't want it overshadowing the cheese area at all. And this actually, you know, the glass itself, this glass is 3 inches in diameter. So let me just kind of give you that in context here. On the wide part. And again, it's up high, so it's not actually the end of the tray. But let me just... So imagine, if you will, my glass when it's sitting in there, it's kind of, and again, the glass comes up at an angle, but the widest part up there is there. So a large portion of the glass is going to kind of be over this area and everything. And we can come in and remember, our parts are out here, right? So we can come this way a little bit. We don't have to be like right on the edge, but we don't need to be right up on the tray either. So something like this, we could come in to here, and it's the small circle that matters. The small circle is where the glass is gonna sit, right? And everything. But what I want to do is I'm gonna come in just shy of my tray right there, right? And so up to a 3-inch glass, I'm kind of good there, and it's gonna sit in here. Now that I've done that, I don't need the big circle, right? If I wanted to, I could take this and rotate it around my center, because everything is, this is the great thing about this type of project, everything is just, it's centered, right? So I could take that circle and I could center around the center this time, not, and make sure X and Y are the same. And I'm going around 6 times, right? And I'm going around 360 degrees, and I should land you goofball. I'm going around 6 times, not 60, and my total angle should be 360 right there. There we go. And it should, you know, drop that around on all 3 of them perfectly, right? Cool. Now we will create a chamfer on the inside of that. So we're going to keep that circle intact. Okay, we're going to keep that circle intact. Now, the slot that gets cut in here, the groove, and by the way, just so you know, this line right there, that is nothing. So that's remnants of parts that were left over earlier. We can get rid of it. All right, so here the stem, this is the stem area between the line there. It's going to come into there, and then there'll be a chamfer here and everything. This is going to be the stem area, so we have enough room to pass through and all. We want to keep this circle intact because it's going to be a vector for our cut and chamfer, right? Chamfer and all that stuff. And we're actually going to be chamfering inward. Right, we're going to be chamfering inward, the channel that comes in here is here on this side. It's going to be cutting into that stem. It's going to be open right here. Okay, so you know all that. Anyhow, so this vector right here does not need to run. Long story short, does not need to run all the way up to here. It needs to run to just, it needs to just get past this line right here. Okay? So, once again, I'm going to come in, and I could almost use the hexagon for this one. Let me see here. To create a straight line. And let me rotate it. .30 degrees. And that hexagon, which we've been trying to get to all day, that gives me the line. So when I take my scissors and I trim this away, that away, this line out here, right? Don't need that line in that circle. This little line right there and there. What this does, and I can, I want to keep this line intact right there, but this vector is my pocket vector, my slot that'll it'll cut inside and everything, and so. that'll end up connecting to another ring right here. I'll show you that in just a second. But we'll have a pocket cut right there in that. Now remember, these parts are not going to get cut on the same board as the tray, right? They're going to get moved out, spread around, you know, spread the wealth and all that stuff. We're just kind of laying everything out in the middle of this tray. Okay? So, but you remember now, these are going to get separated because they got to be able to get cut out and all that stuff. They're going to get moved after we get everything done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my scissors and I'm just going to clear away this, hexagon, these lines, that, and that, this and that, there and there, there, get rid of those two lines, here and here, all the way around. So all I'm doing is I'm getting rid of the hexagons so that when the lines are trimmed, it creates this box right here, this box. Okay, now that was a no-no. Back her up. There we go. Get rid of those two lines. And one more here. Okay. Now, these lines out here are no longer needed. They were part of the you know, that path and everything. They're done. Okay. And this circle here, that just kind of you know, was just there. That's no longer needed. I'm getting rid of these short little stubby lines that was there. Okay. Oop. 2 more, 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now this circle is no longer needed, right? So we should just have these vectors here. Now, here I want this this vector to be a pocket. I want it to be kind of closed off, you know, here in the middle. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a circle and I'm going to draw that circle out just about there, right? And I'm going to take my extend tool right here, my extend tool, and I'm going to extend this line right here to that circle. I'm going to extend this line to that circle all the way around each of these lines, here to here, here to that circle, there to that circle, because I have to have I'm going to be doing a pocket cut, right? And I need I could do it as a profile cut too. Now I could have done just a profile cut and all. I'm doing it kind of as a pocket, but absolutely could have done it as a profile cut. But I need the profile to extend past this line, right? So either way, I'm still going to have to do what I'm doing right now. And so that extends to there and to there. Now, if I was doing this groove, if I was doing this as a pocket cut and not a profile cut on the inside of the line, you know, to cut away that groove, which is going to be the quicker of the cuts. If it was going to be a pocket, I would need this rectangle right here to be a closed vector, so I would actually be trimming away that and that to create that closed vector. Okay? Now, bear with me a second. Let's try that again. My mouse went up here and accidentally clicked that. I would click that and that all the way around. Right? So what that does is, let me close this tool so I can click on it. That's now a closed vector that I could run a pocket cut in, right? Okay, but I'm going to undo that because I'm going to do exactly what I just said. I'm going to do a profile cut where the bit comes in, cuts, and then comes out. Because all we're doing is we're opening this slot up into this circular area. Okay, cool beans. Now, the this is the important part because it's important. This slot right here was set wide enough that I based it off of, you know, this stem, and this slot is that rectangle that I just created there, that groove is based on the width of this upper, kind of the widest part, not down here on the neck, the widest part, right? Now, those circles are based on kind of a 1 1/4 inch area, kind of where my fingers are. And then there's going to be a chamfer that goes down to that stem, right? And so the chamfer that comes in, think about it coming all the way in, is going to end up, there's going to be a through hole there, right? You know, and everything. And that through hole needs to be wide enough that the stem actually fits, right? We don't want to get it caught when the glass goes to sit into that little pocket area, you know, that little chamfer. We don't want it to, oh, it won't sit down in there because the hole at the bottom's not wide enough, right? We don't want that. And so that's why I kind of created this. And so imagine my chamfer coming in. I think I'm just going to have my chamfer slightly come at an angle to where it finishes off. Imagine a virtual circle. I'll just do it here. Let me find the center of this circle. So imagine a virtual circle that comes right to that edge. I missed it just by a little bit, but imagine that's on the corners there. My chamfer, that little chamfer, is going to come down and in, you know, so it has that little angle for it to sit into, but it's going to come down and in, and there's going to be a through hole that's going to be just about as wide as my channel for where the stem came in. So that way I'm not worried about it, you know. Now, what some people, you know, may prefer to do is they may want, what some people may prefer, and I could be wrong on this. This is just me doing a guesstimation. What they may want is they may want that chamfer to be slightly larger, so that, or slightly smaller, or this channel slightly smaller, one of the two. But where it comes in and it when it sits down, it when it's inside this chamfer, it can't come out. They have to kind of lift it and slide it out of the hole. You know, they can't just slide it right out. They have to lift a little bit, and that's going to happen anyway. So it really doesn't matter as long as this inner hole is big enough that the stem can fit down into, right? So I think I'm just going to have it, my chamfer kind of come in to right about that distance, right? That distance and everything. And it's all going to be based on you know, angle and depth and all that good jazz. Okay. So that distance right there, that distance, if I measure that, because I need to know that for the chamfer toolpath, if I measure this, I'll just pick a spot. Um, 142, let's make it 0.15. 0.15 just for easy and 8. That'll be our magic number, 0.15 for the chamfer. And let's take, now this is, we're done. We're done with all the vector work and everything like that. We've got, we'll put some fillets on these corners here to give them a nice rounded soft edge and everything. But let's go ahead and get the parts over onto another board. So I'm going to come in and create another sheet. Again, we're going to glue up another panel. Could be any kind of wood you want, make it look cool. And this is going to be our trays. And we're going to take all of these inside vectors, everything, and we're going to move them over to that tray sheet. Okay. And here, come into the tray sheet. I'm not going to do the lines and slide it out by the line and blah, blah, blah like I did last time. I'm just going to select the vectors, not this circle. And I'm going to select the vectors for one tray and I'm going to group it together. I'm going to select the vectors for another tray, group it together all the way around. I'm hitting G, by the way, on the keyboard for those of you that aren't familiar with the keyboard shortcuts just yet. Selecting the vectors and hitting G for group. Let's try that again. All right, so now with these groups, I can go ahead. I'm just gonna separate them. So I'm gonna bump this one up and over. I'm gonna take this one, and I'm using the up arrow keys on my keyboard, right? And all I'm doing is I'm just spreading them out so that right arrow key, just spreading them out so that a bit can get in between them to cut them out, right? Whatever you know appeals to you, kind of thing. And I'm gonna kind of create them depending on my pattern on my board and everything. I'm going to give me just a moment. Okay, I'm going to kind of keep them somewhat in a circular shape. I'll get them centered on the board here. So let's go to line, center, and material. The reason why I say that is if I have some kind of pattern that when I glued this panel up, if I created some kind of pattern or whatever, I'm going to, I'd like, it'd be cool if the pattern, when these parts come together, if the pattern somewhat lines up, you know what I mean? If that's the case, if there was any kind of pattern. All right, so let's do some tool pathing and let's see what we come up with, okay? So the first tool path is going to be these trays. Now, the trays are very shallow, so a simple bowl and tray bit will do it because, and I do want a bowl and tray bit, is because I would love a nice smooth transition on the bottom of the tray going up to the, the edge and everything. If you don't have any bowl and tray bits, white side makes the 1376 and the, hold on a second, I'll tell you, it's in my tool database here. The, bowl and tray, the 1370 and the 1376. Now the 1370 has a 7/16 inch diameter and like an 1/8 inch radius or something. The 1376 has an 1.25 inch diameter, much wider, and it has a 1/4 inch radius. I'm actually going to use, these are small trays and pockets and all. I'm going to use the 1376 on this, and that'll give me just a nice little radius where it transitions and everything up there. But if you don't have bowl and tray bits, those are, white side. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them from Digital Wood Carver. You can get them, you know, Rockler and Woodcraft, you know, and stuff like that. All right, so let's go ahead now and let's ungroup everything. So I'm going to hit U for ungroup. These are our final steps, ladies and gentlemen. TJ says, okay, we understand the chamfer. Cool. He must have said, DJ, did you say that because you think I was repeating myself too much? We're going to come in and select those there. And we're going to go into our pocket toolpath. Now, the depth of the pocket, literally, it's not going to be very deep. 3/16 inch would be the max depth on this. And we also have to think about, take into consideration the thickness of our trays. These trays are going to be you have a choice, really. You could be 3/8 of an inch thick or 1/2 inch thick. I would go 1/2 inch thick, but you may like a thinner tray, 3/8 and all, but I think a 1/2 inch would be the size of the thickness of these trays, right? So we're going to come in with these pockets about like a 3/16 and everything. So 0.1875, and we're going to use the 1370 white side bowl and tray bit. We're going to be doing an offset cut for that, and this will be our tray pockets. And we'll calculate that. All right, so that will be our slight little tray pockets there. And if you guys and girls have a spire, if you want more of a subtle thing coming in there, you could go with a wider radius, such as the 1376. So it's a 1/4 inch radius, it's a little bit wider. You could also, if you had a spire, you could model this and make it a 3D model cut. There's really no need for that. That's just extra runtime for no reason. But if you wanted more of a subtle transition coming in there with a nice little slope, you could design all that in a spire, you know, for that model cut. But for this here, we're just going to go with a nice little small radius and everything, and a nice little place to kind of set that. Okay, so now the groove coming in, these vectors here. Now, it's going to be important to know where my start point is, okay? Remember what we said about start points earlier, your left side and your right side, left inside, right outside, and everything. And depending on where that start point is, if I tell this profile cut, you know, to cut on the right outside, for this node, if I'm looking at it here, right outside is cutting out here, left inside is here, right? And we want to make sure that we're cutting on the left inside. Now, all of these nodes are facing the right way. Left inside, left inside, left inside. Yep, so they're all good. All those start points are on the proper side. If they were on the other side, it would be a right outside option, but we want left inside. They are laid out properly. So we're going to go profile cut, cutting all the way through the material. We're going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. And we can do this. It should be 1/8 of an inch per pass. Yeah, that's fine. I'll do it in 8 passes. This is going to be my stem slot. .25 end mill. Okay. Now on my sheet setup, it's important. I got the sheet set up here for 3/4 inch and it's actually 1/2 inch. So I need to go to edit and I need to change that thickness to 0.5. And I need to recalculate the tool pass. Okay. And then here on these circles, we're going to use the chamfer toolpath. Now remember, if you, well, you might not remember, whatever, but when we're doing chamfers, you'll get these arrows. And the arrows indicate, one, the length of the arrow is the length of the cut, okay, the cut length. The point of the arrow is always pointing to the deepest part of the cut, okay. Hey, thanks, Chad Jones, man, I appreciate that. Have a good one, man. Appreciate you. The arrow, point of the arrow represents the deepest part of the cut, and the end of the arrow kind of represents the highest part of the cut, right? So on this cut, we want to be on the inside of the line, okay? And we're from that inside of the line, we're cutting down. Now, on this, I'm going to be using a, you could use a 90, depending on what you want your slope to be, right? 120, 90, 60, you know, whatever angle you want it to be. A 90 degree would be fine. So we'll stick with that 90 degree V-bit. But my cut width, if you remember, it was like 0.142. I decided we're going to go 0.15. So 0.15 is going to be my cut width, and the arrowheads need to be pointing inward. They need to be pointing inward, so they're going to be sloping downward from the inside of that line. The highest part is going to be that outside lip, sloping to the deepest part of the cut where the arrowhead is inside this circle. Okay. For a depth and a distance, because it's a 45 degree, it's going to be kind of consistent on the depth and distance, but be a distance of about 0.15 inches deep as well. And so this will be our chamfer, glass base chamfer. Okay, we're going to create that chamfer cut, and then the final cut is the through cut. You know, this has to be opened up and everything in here. Now, when this chamfer comes in and cuts down, it's cutting down to, you know, the bit is removing that. It's a 90 degree V-bit, so it's quite wide, you know, so it's going to be removing all this material in here and everything. And so what I want to do is my circle, which I don't have the actual vector for that circle, but I'm just going to offset the circles. Let me select them all. I just had them selected. I don't know why I clicked off of them, but let me select them. And we're going to offset those inward. Okay. 0.15. And that is going to be our through cut. Okay, our through cut. So I should, let me do that again. I'll do it again. I just want to hit select new. That way when it selects them, I can just go ahead and go right into the toolpath. So that's going to be a profile cut. I'm not going to pocket it out. I'm just going to profile it cut. Cutting through the material on the inside of the line with a 1/4 inch end mill. And this is going to be my glass through cut. Calculate that. And let's see here. Preview all of those. Okay. And then the final cut, this is kind of where, before I did the final cut, I wanted to kind of figure out what I wanted to do with these ends. If I wanted to leave them sharp, if I wanted to radius them and create a fillet, you know, of some sort and things. And because I need, you know, I want to create that profile cut. Right now, as it stands, let me just select them all. And the same thing could also apply for these corners there. Now on the ones that they created here, you can see that they did the round over, right? Created a nice round over, and that's it's ideal because you don't have sharp points poking into someone and things like that. So they rounded off, and then here they have a slight radius right here on the edge. Just again to knock off that sharp point and stuff, and that's, you know, that's we're gonna do that same scenario there. On the internal fillets here, they're going to be small. They're probably going to be 1/4 inch, and then the outer ones, they're going to probably be back to our 3/4, too many decimal points. Yeah, I'm good with that. So that's a 3/4 inch fillet on those. Okay. And so then my profile cut, my final cutout, is going to be cutting all the way through the material on the outside of the line, 1/4 inch end mill, and this is going to be my through cut. Now I'm not going to add tabs. We're going to put tabs on this, but I don't want to add tabs. I want to be able to kind of pull the parts out so you can see. But this will be the profile cut out, 0.25 end mill. All right, let's preview the visible toolpath. Yeah, let's celebrate the first super on this live stream. Thank you, Chad Jones. Appreciate you, man. All right. So as we come in here, let me get rid of some of this waste. Now the this could be kind of a base run and everything here and stuff, but you might find that you want the stem opening a little bit shorter, a little narrower or wider and all. Whatever the situation may be, figure it out for your glasses and stuff. Make whatever changes possible. I want to make these vectors available to you and everything. Hell, you could, if you wanted to, we could have connected these vectors together and had the chamfer run the inside all the way around and this edge to give it a nice cleaner look. I think that's going to be the way to go. So let's do that. Let me think for a moment. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So let's come in here real quick. And what we're going to do is basically we're going to take these vectors here. And we're going to, if that's 0.15 around there, and it's coming to here, this will be the outside edge, 0.15 in. We're going to take these vectors right here. Now, if I offset 0.15 on one side, it's going to do it on the other, and then, so I want to split that in half. So I think I do. If I offset that inward, yeah. How wide is that? Bear with me just a second. That is still a 1/2 inch in diameter. So that should still be $16.32. I should still be good with that. So what that means is, now this vector that I've created is kind of pointless, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to actually connect, and I'll just do one for right now, but I'm actually going to connect this circle with this vector here, so that this inside path right there, this shape here, I'm going to actually kind of stretch that out so that I can take the scissors and trim that, right, to create those two vectors. And I can do that with all of them. Let me see here, bear with me. What's going to be best for me? Let me look at one first, see what it looks like. Let's do the chamfer. All right, so my, because of the way that it was created, changed, so I need to be on the outside, which brings me inside like that. Calculate. Okay, and let me profile through cut, glass through cut. Let's come in here, select that. Still want to make sure that I'm cutting on the inside of the line. It's very important that I'm cutting on the inside of the line there. All right, let me reset this preview. Okay, the stem slot was still in there. Let me reset that again. Turn that, and that, and that. Let's preview that again. Okay, so with that, that gives a nice clean edge all the way around. I like that much better. So then all we're going to do is we're going to come in and delete. No, I can't rotate around the center because I'm not perfectly offset. So I just have to go through and do it the long way. So trim that. I got to do it the long way. If it was still centered, you know, and everything was still close together, I could go through and center that. Well, let's try that again. Okay. Got to just do it the long way real quick. I'm going into node editing for these because all I want to do is I'm just literally pulling this line in a little bit just to create that overlap so I can turn right around and trim those two lines away. That's all I'm doing. So when after I trim the outer perimeter and everything, I'm just going into node editing mode on this so I can select those two nodes and then I can pull that out somewhat, keep it, straight. And then I could just take the scissors now that I've created that overlap to trim that together. That's all. All right. So the last one. Okay. All right, so now that we have that, that's our new vectors there. Let's go back in. Our tray pockets, no need to change those. Our stems, we no longer need that toolpath, so we can delete that. The glass base chamfer, that's going to be this outside vector here. So we're going to open that back up, and we're going to select, making sure you see our arrows there are on the wrong side of the aisle. All right, here and here. So in node editing, we need to switch and make this the start point on this end so it turns those arrows around. Same thing here, they're going the wrong direction. We need to make this the start point so they go the right, correct direction. Okay, so with that, we can go ahead and calculate that toolpath. All right, and that will be those. And then the final toolpath will be the glass through cut, and that'll be on these inside. Calculate that. Oop. Go back and look and make sure. You see I'm cutting on the wrong side of the line for all of these except for two. So we need to go into node editing And we need to, again, make that the start point. And we can open that toolpath up while we're doing that. But on this inside, it's cutting on the wrong side here. So we need to just switch the start point. Those are good. And okay, so all of them are good except for this one. Go back into node editing and make this opposite one the start point. All right, let's go back in and recalculate that. And in the 2D view, we should be on the inside of that cut. Very good. So preview that. So we have that nice chamfered edge there, you know, sitting into there. Good. And again, if you want it to be a little bit further back, you can. You know, you can make whatever changes you want. Now the profile cutout, just going to make sure that on the profile cutout that these vectors are selected. And calculate. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that takes care of our tray parts. The last part we need to do really quickly is we're going to create the pocket cut and the profile cut for the tray itself and the round over cut for the edges. So on this pocket cut here, we're going to go a 1/2 inch deep. So our first pocket cut is going to be 0.5 inches deep. We're going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. I'm not doing a round over bit because I need these trays to fit in there, and they're square bottomed, you know, and stuff. So just a simple 1/4 inch end mill. Offset fine, and this is the base pocket. This is our last three tool pass, base pocket, and then we can call it a night. All right, calculate. All right, preview that visible tool path. That'll be our 3/4 inch thick base, cutting a 1/2 inch deep for that inside pocket. Okay, the next tool path is going to be our white side 2050 round over bit, it's going to be a profile tool path, cutting a 1/4 inch deep. I'm using the white side 2050 1/8 inch round over for the tool. Available on Amazon. The white side 2050, white side 2050. Going to be cutting on the outside of the line with a -1/8 inch offset. Always the setting for that tool. And this will be the round over. Calculate. Okay, that's going to soften up that outer edge there. And then the final cutout is going to be our profile cutout. Again, we'd add tabs. I'm not going to add tabs for visual purposes right now, but when I actually release this file for you all, it'll be available in the description of this video. It will be available. It'll have the tabs and everything in there, but it'll be a profile cut, cutting all the way through the material. with a 1/4 inch end mill. On the outside of the line, again, we'll add tabs at a later date. This is the profile cutout. And calculate. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Roger. I appreciate that. And that'll be our profile cutout. And so with our pizza tray, with this little cheese and wine tray, hopefully it will be a nice little tray. And the pocket is a 1/2 inch deep, so that those 1/2 inch trays will fit in there nicely for, you know, storage and things like that. But when they're not in there, this will be, you know, stacked with cheese and fruits and all that good stuff, you know, right? Party platter and everything, and then people can, you know, fill their little trays up and be good to go. So there's our 2 parts for that, and that is another little party platter to add to your arsenal of tools with everything else that we've done. And also it'd be pretty cool. A pretty cool project that you could probably sell if you made it nice enough and everything. All right, so with that, the last thing that I want to do is, bear with me just 1 second. I'm going to show one last little thing here. And let me pull it up. All right. All right. I want to thank all of my paid members that support the channel financially each month. And if you guys and girls who are watching tonight, if you want to become part of the paid membership group, you can check out that join button on the YouTube channel. If you like these videos and you get some content out of them, you think there's some value to them, think about the value you could get with more one-on-one time with me behind the scenes in our private Facebook group, as well as the private classes that we do every Wednesday night each week, where you can actually submit projects to discuss during that collaboration and things. We do that live. So consider that. But my paid members that I do have, I want to thank each and every one of you. And until next week, I will see you soon. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Y'all have a wonderful night.